Start this meeting, Fayette County Commissioners. Start with pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have you all had a chance to look over the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections?
No.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Department head report. We'll start off with Billy. Start with you.
Quit working out. All right, why don't we start the meeting? About to fall down that with on here. I brought you guys the proposals for to get some vehicles purchased. We sent up the same thing that Reedman got. We sent up to Ford. They didn't return a bid, so I had the ones from Reedman's. We're going to look at two 2013 vehicles. They're four-door crew cab trucks. When we did the bidding and the pricing, I checked on the used prices versus the new prices. I mean, I can't buy used anymore for what Chrysler's doing on these 2013s at the fleet price. The MSRP is $37,400, and Chrysler discounting them by $13,800, which gives a net price of $23,527. And last Durango we bought at the end of 2012 there was $23,800, and it was used. So we can't hardly not buy the new ones versus the used ones. And we haven't bought new vehicles since 08. So everything we've bought's been used. So we're going to trade in the four-door Dodge Nitro that we have. It's a little small, and for what we're using it for in the beginning, for the drug detective, it was working fine. But now it's sort of not filling the need we need filled. So we're going to trade it in so I can get them both bought for $39,874. That is under the $40,000 budget that you guys have set in your vehicle budget. We talked to Rush County. They have the trucks. They seem to be doing fine for patrol work. At least that's what they said in the beginning. So we're going to test it out.
That's what you're going to use these for, Bill?
Well,
patrol work.
We're going to see if they'll work out. Last year we had a couple opportunities where we needed a truck to move some evidence. We had to borrow a truck and a trailer to haul a bunch from the Keener burglary. I'm not a big fan of borrowing and having to use because we had to use people's personal stuff. You know, contacting County Highway is great if they're available, but they got their own duties, and they've been great about when we needed some stuff, like the salting out here. They've been good on that. But I don't like to borrow. I like to be sort of self-sufficient and, you know, run our own business. So
You mean independent?
independent. Well, that's yeah. It's hard for me to say independent, but yeah. So it's a great deal. I've checked around. This is the fleet price. I don't know how else better to put it. I think they're going to be good when they're brand new. And we can't. I mean, we looked around at all the used stuff like we have in the past, and Jeff really couldn't believe that this was discounted that much. So he had to call Chrysler to confirm to make sure that. And they're like, that's the government bid, and that's what they're doing. So
Plus, you have some warranty.
yeah, 5 years, 100,000 miles. So that's factory. And we haven't had a vehicle yet. We've had to buy some service programs for the used vehicles we bought just to make sure we got some coverage for a while. So it's under budget, not as much as it has been in the past, but it's still under budget, and I think it's a good deal. And I don't see any reason not to move forward with them. So sort of up to you guys though.
You're going to strike them, and if you're going to add new equipment, you're going to pay for that out of your
Commissary.
Thank you.
Yeah, the equipment and stuff I'll take care of getting that bought, because I mean that leaves $126 in that new car budget, and I would rather try to come up with the equipment. The equipment that we have on the Nitro we're going to take off. Everything we've bought in the last 6 years has been sort of top of the line equipment, and so it can be transferred over. It's not like the old equipment that used to pull all the amperage and stuff. This new LED stuff doesn't pull very much, so we were able to take it off and move it over to one of the new vehicles, and then all I have to buy is the equipment for one of the others. So, and I'll take care of all of that.
Okay.
So,
It sounds good to me, Billy. What's, any comments from anybody else?
I like that cutaway on the side like they got for the,
yeah, now when we looked at those, I looked at getting that, but we're not going to have that cutaway side thing because I think the equipment that we haul, putting very much in the back there, I think it's going to get beat to death. But the crew cab is bigger and it has under the back seat storage to put the accident folders, the ticket books, the flares, and that kind of stuff will all be inside the cab. So we won't have anything in the back. But they do have the trifold covers on the back. They have locking tailgates that come on.
So you'd still have enough room to put a suspect in the back of this?
Yeah, that's why, and sort of why I went with the crew. There's more room. It's like
They're full level.
it's like a
Right.
full-size truck, other than
Yeah.
the bed's shorter. And that gives it the inside the cab, everything will fit in there, including, well, 2 or 3 suspects.
so you're going crew cab as opposed to 4-door.
Yeah, the crew cab, they are the 4-door, they're just bigger. The quad cab is smaller. If you look at some of the Dodges, and they have a small back door. That's a quad cab. That's sort of tight. The community corrections have one, and it's tight back there for putting people in there and for what we do. So that's why we're in it. And somehow the crew cab has the bigger discount on $13,000, and the quad cab had a $6,000 discount. So I'm not sure why they're doing that, whether they have a bunch of them they want to move, but
Probably.
they're discounting the bigger one a lot better.
Law
Yeah.
enforcement.
Go ahead. I was looking on here, it says Sirius XM satellite radio. Is
Right.
that something?
That comes with it.
Oh, it comes with it.
Yeah, that's not an add-on.
All right.
If it was, we'd add them all on.
It's just expensive when you go to renew the subscription.
Yeah, it is expensive when you renew the subscription, I think. $15 a month, so. Yeah, that's an add-on. Or not an add-on, that comes with it.
That's just the way they come.
So,
This is all law enforcement suspensions and all that good stuff.
Yeah. the bigger alternator,
Huh?
the
You don't have to have it in there.
transmission
Well,
cooler.
they give it to you for a while. Are we ready to make a motion one way or another?
Mr. President, I make a motion to allow the sheriff to purchase these 2 pickup trucks per the information we have been given.
Do a second the motion? Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Billy's got his trucks.
All right, thank you. I'll have the annual jail report. They're finishing that up now. We'll have that probably at the next meeting to present, so we might block off about 20 minutes so we can go through it and just explain some things of what happened through all last year at the jail,
Okay.
sort of some of the feedback of what we're dealing with over there. So the kitchen's coming along. That project got held up because the tables were not what we ordered, and it wasn't our mistake, it was the manufacturer, so they're going to replace those and fix that back. So the dishwasher should be in hopefully before too much longer. Oh, it's in? It's in. I won't steal Bill's thunder.
Just to have Bill get it in, right?
I won't say that. But, so, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Next, Highway Department.
Good morning.
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 We've been pretty busy with the snow and the rain. Seems like every time it snows and starts to thaw out, it rains on it, it softens everything up. We haven't really been able to take the plows out because of the way it softened the roads after 4 snow. We've been sanding a lot. We've been pretty busy because we're short-handed. We're short with a guy that retired, Michael Clerk. And we had another employee who fell off his house roof and cracked his hip. So he's gonna be out for at least 4 months. So that put us down another truck driver. So it makes it a little tight when you got 10 people out there trying to do a job that usually you do with 13.
But you're gonna get some part-time help too.
Well, if it's, that's what I need to find out from you gentlemen if it's all right for me to pursue part-time help.
Well, I don't see how we can run the department. We don't have somebody to run the trucks, you know. So I think we need to do it.
I'll go through my applications down there. I know I've got a couple down there and I'll check on that.
Does your labor
I've,
contract, Jay, does your labor contract prevent part-time?
No, we're allowed to hire part-time, as long as they're not, they've got a certain limitation on how they can stay, how long they can stay.
Okay.
I have brought you the applications that I've got, so you can take them home and look at them for the mechanics job. I've got 5 of them. There's 5 of them in there.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. And I will,
This is for the mechanic, right?
yes, that's for mechanics job, because the mechanic's moving out down the equipment. He's already, when I posted it, he signed it, I'm just leaving him in there until we get somebody in the job. And he's all right with that for right now.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. I've had him out on truck. He hadn't been able to work in the garage because we're short-handed. I've had him out on running a truck. And it's just, if he's gonna go to the equipment, he needs to learn it anyway. So he might as well be out there during the snow and figure out what's
Right.
going
Well,
on.
we're gonna get somebody in the shop too.
Yeah. Let's see what else. We've got a problem with our bush cutter. That one Kubota tractor is down in Zimmer again. It's been down there twice on the transmission. And I was down there the other day and they said it's gonna be over $12,000 to fix it this time. It's wiped out some bearings in the transmission, and they're saying it's the way they're using it, but you can't drive it down the road and not use the clutch to go back and forth with it. They're saying using the clutch for what we're doing is what's causing the problem. So I don't know what the answer is.
How old tractor is that, Jay?
I think it's a 2008, I think. If I remember right. Do you remember what year that was, Howard, when we bought that?
Not off the top of my head.
But I think it's 2008.
I find it hard to believe that they're carrying it up to 48-speed transmission.
I know it, and they're down there saying it's because they're using the clutch when they're going back and forth.
Well, how else can you go back and forth and use the clutch?
But you got me. They're telling them to go to the lowest gear they can go into to cut with, and that's pretty slow speed.
Yeah, and the boom itself swings back
Yeah.
and forth as well. I don't get it.
No, I don't either. I don't understand it either. They said they had Alamo down there and they looked at it and they said that's the only thing that could be causing it was the way they're using the tractor. And I've had everybody on it. I've been tracking who's been using it.
That don't make sense.
I'll know more when we get it back. We just have to have somebody up, talk to them and explain to them what they're doing wrong or something. I don't understand it. Because we've had it on a little Ford tractor. We never had that kind of problem. I mean, you use the clutch every once in a while, but you didn't lose them like we lost the transmission on this one. They had to go in and rebuild it. That's what's cost us so much.
Yeah, that don't make a bit of sense.
No. And I've got the annual reports here.
You've had, how much have you had to fix this thing, you say this?
It was down there the middle of the summer, and they lost because of the type of transmission, it's got like little clutch plates inside the transmission, and it lost some of them, and they went in there and fixed it, and it was about $8,000 when they done that. Time they got
How big a
that.
tractor is this?
It's a Kubota, but it's got an Alamo bush cutter on it.
What horsepower tractor is it?
What horsepower?
105.
Yeah, it's right around 100, 105. It's just, I don't understand what's going on with it.
Well, that's cheap, but I mean, we can't be putting that kind of money in every 6 months.
Because because every time you do anything out of transmission, you got to split the tractor. That means you got to take the bush cutter off to do it. That's what's taking so long this time. They had to split it clear down and take it apart.
Well, we need to figure it out. I mean, it sounds to me like it'd be cheaper to
Yeah.
buy another tractor than to fix that in every 6 months.
Yeah, it's making a problem because we haven't been when we could use it when it's cold like this. We could be out trimming trees. We haven't got it to use it. It just makes it bad. We've been going out with the bucket truck and doing what we can do, but there's only so much you can do with that bucket truck.
Well, is that Zimmer telling you what the problem is, or the factory telling you what the problem is?
They had the Kubota guy. They said when I talked to the guy who's doing it down there, he said he had a person come in and look at it and explain to him what was causing it. And he said it was the way with using the clutch on it, what he said.
So it's operator error.
Is what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. That don't make
But
sense.
this is the second time it's been down.
He's tearing up with a bush hog on it.
And I've preached to him that you go to the lower gear to try to save it. And it didn't last very long this last time they had it down there.
Well,
They
I've
had
never
it
seen
back.
him mowing in a fast gear.
Well, you normally don't mow with it. All you're doing is trimming trees on the side of the road, and that's a slow process anyway.
Right.
You can't go
You're not
very
gonna go
fast
in road
doing
gear
that.
doing that.
As a matter of fact, fact, I saw it last summer in my neighborhood. They were trimming them trees.
Yeah, it does a good job when they're working it, but it's not holding up for some reason. And I went back and checked the record to see who's been using it, and it hadn't been just one person, it's been, everybody's been on it.
Would it be helpful for you to have them get that factory man down there for you to talk to, Jay?
I'm gonna, when I pick it up, I'm gonna talk to them, have them come down and talk to the employees down there in front of them. Explain to them exactly what's going on with it. That's the only thing I know to do with it.
Right, the factory man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do with it. But that's all I've got.
Okay.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. We're elaborate a little bit about the scratches with the truck and the hood, if you would.
What happened was we had the radio guy. We've had new radios put into new trucks, and I was over Union County talking to their supervisor over there that day. And when I come back, they were standing on the hood of the truck in their work shoes. And I asked Jerry down there, I says, is this the way they've been doing all the trucks? He said they've done all 5 of them like that. They stood on the hood of the truck. Well, they scratched up the hoods of the truck. 4 out of the 5 we got buffed out real good, and 1 we've got a dull spot on it. Because the guy that I had come in and do it, he quit for fear he would make it worse. But Matt Doolin up there said when weather warms up, he can get it out of it. He said it's no problem. But it's just the idea they walk around on the hood of that truck. They could have raised the hood on the truck and stood on the motor and done the same thing, and wouldn't have scratched nothing.
Well, my other question, or just relate to, if it's at all possible in the future, to other departments, that Frank and myself would maybe get a phone call. It wasn't as bad as it sounded after I looked at it. I mean, it'll buff out, but at first it sounded like a catastrophe, and then once I got there and looked at it, you had to get down in the light and search. But the point is that if we could just maybe get a heads up, that way if somebody calls us and asks us about it, we know what's going on.
I should have called all 3 of you. I talked to Barton about it, and I just didn't think about calling because after we got 4 of them buffed out, and then they realized the other one, and he come down and said he could do it. I figured
it wasn't anything that you guys, I mean, it was a company. They should have known better.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day.
And he agreed, Ron Best is the one who put the radio on. He agreed that the guy should have never walked on the hood. He didn't understand, he couldn't understand why he did it. And he agreed to pay for getting it buffed out, so.
Well, thanks for letting me put you on the spotlight.
That's all right. Anything else?
Thanks, Jay.
Did he ask him if he needs approval on these?
Do you need approval on, Jay? Jay?
Jay, don't leave Jay.
Jay. Jay. I didn't, before they voted on it. Did you need to have these approved?
Yes, those need to be signed and approved because I think 4 of them have to be sent into the state.
Well, then we need a motion to approve the reports. Approve receiving the reports, we haven't read them.
Is there a deadline for them to be sent in, Jay?
I don't think it's for, into March or something like that?
No,
Or is it later than that?
no, well, I forget on yours. Yours is different than ours. I don't know whether it's the end of February or the middle of March. I'm not sure.
Well, we can review them and take them up and pass it on the next meeting. It'll be the middle of February.
That'll get them in plenty of time.
Right. Good. Bill Gray.
Got some bids here, and I put them in your box. You got them on the furnace at the animal shelter. Got a bid from Colarn. We got a bid from Hudson, K&K Electric, and Dixon. So there's 4 here. Excuse me. From what I'm looking at the bids, they bid out all kinds of, from 80 to 96% efficiency. I talked to Dixon's about a high efficiency furnace in the animal shelter, and he said where it's at, and actually in the kennel, it would be a mistake to put a high efficiency furnace in there.
Why?
It would
What's
stay
that?
clogged up all the time.
It what?
It would stay clogged up all the time with the animal hair that's in there. And it's actually in where the dogs are, so. His is, it's an 80%, and most of them I saw were bidding 80%, 78 to 80%.
Except Hudson
At that
bid all
price.
90, right?
I'm sorry,
Hudson bid all 90%, 90, 92.
Cole Arns, low bid was 80%. And K&K low bid was 80%. Hudson's was 92, low bid.
Let's see.
I think that's all.
Bill?
Yeah, that was it.
Hey, Bill?
I'm sorry.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but with the 90%, you're gonna have greater fuel savings, so you're gonna save money that way. So is it a matter of keeping the house, just a matter of frequent filter changes, or what?
He's telling me, Dixon was telling me it would actually clog the unit up.
Well, I've got Hudson's and K&K and Dixon's, and as far as the way that, I mean, it's the cheapest one I've got in front of me. So, I mean, I understand what he's saying with the 90%, but I don't know the clog up rate as far as, you know, with the animal hair and stuff getting inside. I mean, it could cause a fire. I mean, that's gas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
So we don't want the
Well, he,
building burned
you know,
down.
I talked to him and he said he would not recommend any higher than 80% in where it's at.
I'm talking about Dixon.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I don't understand. That could be true. I don't understand why.
You know, I don't know. I'm not a furnace man, so I'm
90%.
just going by what he said. And kind of makes sense that there's a lot of hair up there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff blowing around, so.
And that has 10-year all parts warranty and a 20-year heat
Warranty
exchange.
10-year, all parts, 20-year heat exchanger. That was Dixon's. And trying to get some prices here. Hudson's was $1,850. Cole Arns was $1,980. K&K was $1,877.92. And Dixon's was $1,275.
So your recommendation is what, Bill?
I would recommend Dixon. I mean, he's the cheapest bid. Excuse me. And I know his work. He's put the other furnace in up there in the office area, which is separate from the animal. And I like his work. He does a good job.
I think probably all four of them will work with me.
Oh, I like all four of them. They're all four good.
Right.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of them.
And we are down to where we really need to put that furnace in.
We're down to where it's unrepairable. If it goes
Well,
out,
they did
it's out.
repair it and said you can't get parts for it.
No. And we just barely got it running this time.
Right.
Mr. President, I move we accept Dixon's bid.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve Dixon's bid for the furnace in the animal shelter. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I'll take care of it. The dishwasher is in the kitchen, and they've got the tables all in, the dishwasher's in. Waiting on the electrician and plumber to get there. The soap delivery is on its way.
The what?
The soap delivery, the actual soap that hooks up to the automatic pumps and everything, is on the way. They called me this morning, said the semi's on its way with it, so we'll have everything there. We should be, by the end of the week, we should be up and running.
Good. Okay.
Thank you. Good.
Anything else?
Anything? Nope. Anything else?
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
For a minute. Thanks, guys.
IT Director Ben's not going to be here. He didn't have anything for us. He's got things to do. County Attorney, hey, you got anything for us?
Just real quickly, I don't have much. Commissioner Parker talked to me yesterday about the county farm, whether or not we need to release it this year. And then you brought me the contract and said we didn't. I found the notes
from that meeting, and then also the contract that Ryan Kuhn, he executed it again, so. His optional third-year lease has been fulfilled for this 2013 year. It's in the record, so that should be fine. And this was a copy of the November 8th, 2012 meetings, and it says County Attorney Alan Dimkovich told the board that Ryan Kuhn has sent a letter stating that he wishes to exercise his option to rent the county's farm ground for another year. So it's on the records, and then it's actually, here's the letter as well, so if you'd like copies of that, but it's been taken care of apparently.
Okay, that's what we need to know.
All right.
That it?
I think that's it. So the county will not go without getting some money for that farm this year. The lease is taken care of. All right.
Council representative, got anybody? Where's Sharon?
Sure.
Shirley got anything for us?
I don't have anything for you this morning.
Okay, thank you. EDG, Pete?
I apologize. In reviewing the financials that I'm going to submit today from Aaron, I've asked her to read through those. If you like, I will email them to you or report on them at the next meeting. Just a quick recap of our activity during 2012. As you can see on the report that Diane just gave you, we responded to 53 leads. We have some continuing projects that we're working on to include Project R, Project Jet, who will be here December 17th, or March 17th, I'm sorry. The Arsenoff Group have been in constant contact with the state and the principals, and it appears to be moving forward. In Bramco, we hope to have resolved before the middle of this month. As you can see, we hosted a reception for the new manager, David Manabach at GE, and as we get to the bottom of this page and look at the investments that have been made by local companies, in most instances with assistance from our organization, we had over $17.5 million invested by these companies. Again, that was supported by Economic Development City and the county. And we added about 212 employees. So I think all in all, we had a relatively successful year in supporting our local businesses. We continue to work diligently to attract new business ventures. And I'll be traveling to New York, North Carolina, and Illinois for site visits with a specific manufacturer. Rather than waiting for them to come to us, we've decided that we're going to go knock on their door. So, any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Pete?
No.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Pete. Mail. What is it, mail?
You got too much.
Too much? It's a letter from Dave Eichenberger inviting us to sit in on a webinar with Burke Engineering, Tuesday, February 12th, next Tuesday.
At their office in Indianapolis about various issues with dam safety and that type of thing.
Okay. Whether it be beneficial for us to go or...
Yeah, if anybody wanted to.
Is that for dam at Manlove?
It's just a webinar
On dams
on
in
dams,
general.
period.
Okay.
It's not specific to our dam, it's just of what you need to do to maintain your dams and what's required.
Now that came from Wilson, Lawson and Myers, and he is discussing if we have any volunteers that do work and what the coverage is per our insurance. And he also gave forms if somebody's working as a volunteer, just to sign, who they are.
We have to let them know who.
Yeah.
Let the insurance carrier know who they are before they go out and do the work. I think that.
I think this kind of brought up from the discussion that had to do with the cemetery having volunteers working on the pioneer cemeteries.
Says the workers' compensation extends up to $25,000 of coverage for medical expenses incurred as a result of performing volunteer work at the cemeteries.
Yeah, I've seen this.
The next thing, this was notification from PERF that in 2014, beginning January 1 of 2014, the county's employer contribution rate will increase to 11.2%.
And what has that question?
10% this year. Then that was from IDEM.
This is a letter from IDEM just notifying us that they have received an application for air quality permit from Fed 2 and Engineering. They're going to put some piece of equipment up there, and it's just a requirement that you that they notified us that they had applied.
I also, in switching over our software, Computrol, our current carrier, is wanting $1,000 to export our data. That's what we have entered. They have already sent conversions for all of the information, like our structure, you know, our different appropriation numbers and all those things. Now they want $1,000 to export the data, which I'm not overly happy about it at all. But if we don't, the only option of that, just to get this year's data so that we can print W-2s and 1099s and all at the end of the year, would be for us to all hand enter everything that we redo up until the time we switch over. So we're probably talking about hand entering 3 months worth of data. I'm down one person in my office. I don't know how we would get this done at all. But that's what they're
I
wanting.
mentioned this to AJ yesterday. It seems to me that the data is our data, and we shouldn't have to pay to get it, but
They're making us pay for them to download it, basically. But
Yeah, and Commissioner Barker gave me the contracts for that, and I've reviewed the contracts. It doesn't state anywhere that we would have to pay them for our essentially
access to our own data.
Our own data to get it back. And as far, I can't see in the contract anywhere either that there's like a a separate fee per hour for other work done after the contract is expired. Or, so I don't know exactly what justification they're standing on for that, but it seems to me like the data belongs to Fayette County and it should be given back to Fayette County free of charge. But
Well, I mean,
so can you take charge and convince them of that?
a nice little memo to Computrol, yes.
well, what happens if we tell them flat out, no? I mean,
Well,
can
there-
they walk
there
away?
is-
That's what
is
AJ's
one-
going to take out.
As far as like the bills we pay, the claims docket, I think I could maybe get a report, a fund history on all the funds we've done, manipulate that data into an Excel format, and if I get it that way, they say that Lao says that they can drop it in. The thing I'm not 100% sure about is the payroll data, and I've got Kathy seeing if there's a way to take care of the payroll data the same way if we could get everything we needed.
But if we do, it's still time consuming.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it would take a while.
I don't think you'd be able to.
I don't know if we get everything we needed that would need to plug
What's
into.
the timeline we got to have this?
They're going to start coming in yet this month and start doing training.
I was going to say that if AJ could look into it and do
So it needs to be done rather quickly then.
Right.
It's not a problem. I mean, the worst, as an attorney, when I think of $1,000, I think of litigation costs, and that is sort of a drop in the bucket of litigation costs.
But I think it falls into the category where they're looking at it going, well, it's a government. We'll just see if we send them a bill and see if they pay it.
I think you might be right, actually.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think because it's a government, you guys are owed a little bit more than
Right.
So, yeah, I can.
See if you can convince them of that. Is that the end of the mail?
The only other thing, and this kind of isn't mail, but this is something that I do every year. We send in a covered bridge certification because we get so much money from the state we have one covered bridge, and it just requires your signature. I don't even think it requires a vote, but I wanted to make sure we didn't forget that.
Right, okay. Old business, Medicaid sign up, Paula Moffett.
This is the last, well, one of the last stages we have to go through to get accredited to bill Medicaid. And I just need the commissioner's signatures. It's for the information that I had already gathered from them.
Okay, get us going.
Yeah, I'll get that mailed in.
So this is something that requires a motion either, right?
That's so they can bill Medicaid for certain immunizations and
Yeah, we
and
get
shots and
a
things.
administration fee from Medicaid. And we're also going to be able to bill private insurances.
I suppose we don't need a motion. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
While we're finishing that up, Kathy, appointment of Peter Board member.
Morning, thank you. I have two matters to deal with today, and the first one would be on the PETA-BOA member. Warren, we have a 3-member PETA-BOA as Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, and they do an excellent job together. But Warren Taylor was on the board since 2007, and he was appointed by the commissioners, and the other 2 members were appointed by the council. And Mr. Taylor is no longer able to serve as a PETA-BOA member. So he recommended Mr. William J. Flum, Bill Flum, as a replacement for the PETA-BOA. And we just like your approval for the appointment of Mr. William J. Flum as a PETA-BOA member, replacing Warren Taylor.
Does Mr. Flum have a background where he'd be familiar with?
Yes, I put it in your mailbox earlier, but it said I'd like to recommend Mr. William J. Flum as a member of the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals. He's worked in the purchasing department at Stant for 32 years, where he was promoted to Director of Purchasing in 1989. He held this position until his retirement in 2012. And while he was employed at Stant, he served as a member of the Landmark Service Board of Directors, and also he attended the Fayette County leadership classes. And then Mr. Flum was also a realtor for 9 years and was associated with East Central Realty Company here in Connersville.
So he should be familiar with the process.
So he does have some real estate background, and he's willing to learn more.
And if Warren recommended him,
Yes.
Warren was a good member of that
Yes,
PETA
he
board.
was. We will miss him. He really was an excellent member.
I want to make a motion to
I
appoint.
hate to see him leave. He has just too much on his plate right now that he's not able to continue with the PETA-BOA.
Okay.
I make a motion to appoint.
Mr. Flum,
Yeah, William Flum.
Second.
been moved and second, we appoint Mr. Flum to the PETA board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Now you want to talk to us about the reassessment contract.
Yes. I met with each of you individually. First, I know we met with the reassessment committee. Martin Barker, Shirley Weiss, and Jim Wolf wasn't able to attend, and Shirley said she was going to talk to him. And then I had the opportunity, we met with Zane Bedore and Frank Jackson, different opportunities to see if there was any questions. But the contract we have for the general reassessment contract came to an end, and we need someone for trending and for new construction work. We had 5 people bid, and 2 2 of the 5 did not bid up to our specifications. They didn't include all the information in their bid. So we were left with Tyler and Ad Valorem and G&A Assessments. And of the 3, we chose Ad Valorem Solutions. And I know at the meeting, Shirley Weiss, and she recommended we give a list of why we chose Ad Valorem over, it was the other companies. And I know too, our attorney, AJ Bryson there, he looked over the contract. They submitted contracts and everything was all right with the contract too. But Ad Valorem, for one thing, is they're based in Kokomo, located in Howard County, and Ad Valorem is based there, and also they do the work for the assessor's office in Howard County. But the economics up there, they were an automobile-based industrial county that experienced a major loss of jobs and also of assessable, both in personal property and real property assessment values. So they're familiar with a down economy in the county. And also, when I was just talking to Mr. Jay Morris, is the owner of Ad Valorem, and we were just engaging in an impromptu conversation, and I brought up about farming. And I know right now the farmers are going through a lot with the land increases, so they have a way of looking at maybe farm buildings, maybe buildings that are old, buildings that are obsolete of use, like our hog buildings. We have taken off obsolescence for them, but they have a way of looking at farm buildings also that may help the farmers get a lower assessed value if appropriate for buildings they no longer use or are of much use. And so they have a business outlook, and they also have a farm outlook. And then when I called references for each of the vendors and Ad Valorem's, they always got glowing reports from the counties that they worked in. And they just said they just won't settle for one. Like on ratio studies, that's trending. And with the ratios, it's working with numbers. It's a complicated process to explain. But down there, they'll run it again, and they'll run it again, and they'll run it again. And a lot of the ratio studies are values that we send to the state. And those are values that they look at that our assessed values are based on for our tax rates. So they do a really good job. And I said that they both question the facts and figures and situations until they get a reasonable answer to what they want to make certain it's right. And then their contract includes 15 days of appeal service for informal hearings. Once a year, when our values roll to the auditor, we send out Form 11s that all the taxpayers receive. And these Form 11s show the values from what they were one year to what they're going to be for the next year. And we've had 500 to 600 appeals each year. And so they provide 15 days within that price that they quote for trending, 15 days of trend appeal services for the informal hearings. And that would include like working with commercial industrial. I'm not good with commercial industrial, the big ones. I can do small matters, but I do the residential and some of the ags. That they will work with the commercial and industrial, that they provide 15 days, and then they provide 5 days for if a company or a taxpayer goes to the PBOA, 5 days of appeal service included in that contract. So we get 20 days of appeal service, which can cost between $420 to $600 a day, depending on the type of appeal that it is. And the other companies had 5 or 10 days. So it's almost like twice as much as some, or even more. And then in-house training too, I know the Fayette County Council has asked that, they've suggested that the assessor's office try to do more in-house work. Some things, we don't have the manpower, the lady power to do it either. Just to go out there, and this year we won't have to do any parcel reviews until 2014, but they are willing on the ratio study part to work with us. We'll work along with them. They'll train us in how to do a good ratio study, how to set it up, and so that we can send it to the state in an appropriate format. So, and they know that.
So then you can do that later on by yourself.
Yes, and so we'll have 2 years without a parcel reviewer. We'll have 2 years to work with this company, and they're willing to do that, and they've done that for other companies, and they know they train us, they possibly lose us as a customer in that area, but, you know, they're open to that. And they find out, well, if this is something we really can't do ourselves, maybe give time or right away capability of doing it, they'll go ahead and work with us and do the ratio study. So they're willing to work, we can work with them to learn, and then we can try it on our own, and they'll be there for support. And if we find out, well, maybe this isn't the best thing for the county, sometimes counties can't do it on their own, then they can step back in and help us do the ratio studies. And two, we just had a real comfortable rapport with, Mr. Morse. He's the owner of Adborn. And the gentleman who'll come here and do a lot of work for him is Phil Winning. And he lives in Greensburg right now. But they don't have a Fayette County resident who's trained to do this. There's no one here that's a level 2 that can do this other than people in our office. But they'll see how the situation works as a new company with Fayette County, that maybe we can have someone from Fayette County be involved in the process, and we can do more in-house work later on.
So they all did bid exactly the same thing, is what you're saying?
Yes. Basically, the bids were pretty close. I know for 2 years, it's $75,100, which is 36 a year.
And your budget for this is what?
Yes.
Your budget for this is what?
Yes, we had $40,000 budgeted just for trending, because that's what companies were charging before, but now that companies are getting used to doing a ratio study and more familiar with the sales and the county, that value went a little lower. So for less than like $36,000, we're getting the trending done and new construction, which before we had a budget of $7,500 for new construction and $40,000 just for trending.
And 2 years from now, you're saying you'll be able to do the trending yourself?
Well, we hope so. Yeah, we're going to look at it to see if we have the time. I think we have the capability of doing it, but it's a time factor.
Right.
Because what happens now, we have personal property, and again, not as a sore point, but we've lost our personal property person, so now our office has a personal property. We also have the trending that comes at the same time, and new construction will go out and gather information on new construction. So there's a lot that comes all at the same time. But if we can do it and it fits in our schedule, we'd like to do it, because I think we could do a good job. We know our county, and we could look more in depth at our numbers and true assessments on the property.
My question is, you said that you lost a person?
Or part-time person.
So, all right, and they really didn't do all this?
Pardon?
They didn't really do all this? No.
No, they were a personal property. When, in 2008, in July of 2008, the state did away with township, we had township assessors and township trustee assessors.
Right.
And so that position was done away with, and all the personal property that 9 people did came to our office. So we were fortunate to get a part-time position.
I think I mentioned it in your meeting, I just didn't want to get into we've let people go, now we're contracting work out. That's kind of a double-edged sword.
This county has always contracted work out for,
Okay.
but we never had trending before either. That's something new that started like in 2002. And the state keeps putting more demands on you. Now you have to not only just study the sales disclosures, but you have to go out and look at the sales disclosures too, to see if the properties are in a certain condition. What kind of condition were they at the time of the purchase? And it's sometimes hard to get out there within the time that the state asks.
You actually have $40,000 for parcel review, $40,000 for trending, and $7,500 for new construction in your budget.
So it's really less per year than just for the trending.
Right.
And we're having additional service within the sales disclosures. So, but they provided, and I gave, Barton has 2, and Zane has 1, and then Frank has 1. And there's 4 contracts they actually sent as the bid. And again, Mr. Bryson looked at the contract and said it was all right. But if you're in approval of accepting ad valorem, whether we contract with them, that they're here to sign it. And I marked it in the back with a clip where to sign it. There's 4 copies. We keep one. The auditor's office keeps one on behalf of the county. And the state gets one, and we'll send one back to ad valorem. Are there any questions?
Anybody got any questions, Kathy? What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept this bid. Assessor's office.
Been moved and seconded that we contract with ad valorem. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Again, it's only for a 2-year contract, so it'll give us time to try to do some things in-house, and if they don't work out real well, you're not committed. And if they are that bad, any contract allows you to discontinue the contract with them.
Right.
So do you need these signed?
Yes.
Yeah, we can,
Each commissioner needs to sign 4 copies.
yeah, we can do that, get them to it after the meeting.
Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Community Corrections Advisory Board appointment. Frank, that's your department.
Yeah, Michelle is out of town today. There are some appointments which have not basically through the years been kept up and been reappointed as they should. So Michelle asked me to represent her behalf today. She's attached to the list here dealing with Community Corrections Advisory Board appointments. The following need to be appointed by the county commissioners. Alan Demkovich through 2016, and that was not because of he wasn't on the board formerly because of, he was because of his county attorney, but now he's on there simply representing a local attorney. Okay. Michelle Richardson through 2014, she represents Victims Assistance. Russ Seidel through 2016 for County Council. Jenna Turner for probation through 2014. Russell Hodges, Superintendent through 2014, and Adrian Ellis through 2014. And according to her information, the above takes care of the persons already on the board. They have neglected, there are 6 positions that have not been appointed they should, and that's an ex-offender, a physician, and 3 laypersons. So basically, Michelle wants approval for these appointments today.
Has she got names for those 3 that you mentioned?
No, I'm sorry, for the ones I named. These other 3
She's going to get to us later?
Yes.
I sure don't have any problem. We need a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the people for the board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Michelle's recommendations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Adrian Ellis.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I put grant applications in your mailbox for Homeland Security. 3 will need your approval and signatures. Would you like to go through them individually or get an overview?
Let's just get an overview and take care of them.
I'm the fiscal agent for Homeland Security for the district. Grant C44P-2-053A. There's no funding involved. It's an accounting measure by Homeland Security. They're moving money around at the end of the year, leftover funds. It's just telling the county, look, because you're the fiscal agent, here's what we're going to do. They just need your approval. I have signature pages here. Grant C44P-2-287A is for the district task force. Again, I'm the fiscal agent and a member of the task force. They found some money. We'd expended $12,156 out of the previous funding. Again, at the end of the year, their accounting had more money they wanted to spend or send it back to the feds. So they rewrote that grant, took it back up to the original figures, so we gained money. But because of that, we have to have a new agreement, and again, I have 2 signature pages for your approval and signature. The final one is C44P-3-176B. It's the final round of what's called ACAMS, Automated Critical Asset Management System. I'm the fiscal agent and program manager for the district. The 13 counties, we assessed the initial program 10 facilities, 10 critical facilities in each one of the counties. That's 130. We generated somewhere in the neighborhood of 32,000 pages of information. That's done on paper, then we have to log that in on the federal site, and there's certification to be able to do that. This latest go-around is a very small amount of money. We're just cleaning up what we can. If you remember, the initial aspect had funding for equipment that replaced our old warning system, the emergency button. That was a savings to the county of over $12,000. So I need your approval and signatures. And as I said, the grant applications were put in your mailbox.
I'll make a motion to accept these grant applications.
Second.
Moving and second, accept the grant applications. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks, Adrian.
I have one other thing for you. I need all 3 of your signatures. Here's Debbie also. That's the first. That's the second.
Is this just a signature page for 2 different, or the same
No,
signature
it's the same
page
one.
in the same
I like to get double just in case somebody, Andy loses one.
Can we do this and then get them back to you? I mean, or you want them now?
I'd like to get them now if I can.
You sign, you print everybody's name.
While you're looking at that, I can give you a brief report of activities. Completion of some plans. I've finished my master fatality plan. I've done a communications update on that particular plan, a debris management plan, rewritten a community emergency management plan, the emergency operations center SOPs, the EMA SOPs have been updated. As I mentioned, the ACAMS. Task Force, I'm a member of Task Force 6. We were deployed 4 times, twice in the Scatatuck Military Training Center. First with Task Force 7 and 5, our full complement. We also worked with the U.S. Army, the National Guard, Navy SEALs, Homeland Security. The Israeli military force was there, some Eastern European military, and the Federal Homeland Security. Task Force 6 training is ongoing monthly. The second deployment was an honor. We were requested by the state to go down and work with Task Force 8, their medical people. We have an honor of distinction within the state as having the best medical element within the task force, 10 task force in Indiana. We work with the California Department of Emergency Management, and for those who are familiar with the term NIMS, National Incident Management System, which is a federal standard, that was developed in California. And I'm very proud to say that they were so impressed with what we did, they went home and modified some of their programs based on our activities. And the task force deployed to the Henryville tornado and Hurricane Sandy. The funding coming in on my side of the fence for my performance last year, I have a points rating system, and 200 points are the standard. That's the top. I received 220, so that keeps money coming in. I had a visit last week from or 2 weeks ago, from Homeland Security Area Coordinator. They've already started assessments, and it appears I'm way ahead of that curve this year, so that's great. That keeps more money coming in. I've been asked by the Bicentennial Committee, myself and Jim Reese, to develop the emergency response planning. that plan is written, I'm filling out details. I'm an active member of the Indiana Department of Mental Health. My job in the medical element, I'm the psychological first aid team leader, an element leader in that particular group. We were active in many aspects of deployment, plus we were called to help with the residential explosion in Indianapolis on the victims there. Our radio communications group has stepped up. We recently had an exercise within the state. Jerry Frey is the head of the ham radio group, did an excellent job. Our task was to transfer messages as though we didn't have phones, we didn't have communications by computer, so we had to do that, leapfrog back and forth, and Jerry did a great job. There's the other Jerry. All of the EMA radios have been transitioned to what's called narrowband. I'm working outside of that. I'm working with Roy Kopp at Fayette Regional Health System, the hospital, on an exercise, completing details for a full-scale exercise for the courthouse, and working with 2 local companies on exercises for their facilities. I'm preparing to teach a class at Glenwood Fire Department on NIMS, and basically that's about half what I've been up to. I have a packet for you, an introduction on the interacting with EMA, and also, Barton, the meeting you asked me to go to, I have a report on that, the 17th. Okay. Some recommendations there, and part of that goes back to a recommendation we did on ACAMS, which looks at the facilities and such. Then there's some information for you in there on working on.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. On emergency activations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And that's it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Adrian?
No, I do.
Thanks, Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Terry Bent.
You need to sign there. I think I signed here.
Good morning, I'm pretty boring compared to you. I gave you guys some packets this morning, and did I give you one? Or not? I think I gave yours to Debbie, but.
She did.
The first one is our, it is through VIA, it's our Spillman, our computer-aided dispatch system, our CAD system. It is a yearly contract. I just need your blessing to go ahead and do that. It is split 3 ways between 911, the Sheriff's Department, and the City Police Department. It's something that we do every single year. So it's pretty routine. That's what I just handed you, is that. But before I sign it, I just need your blessing on that. I've reviewed it. It's pretty much the same.
Just so I've got the right one, this is for 1879. That's the one you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes. The VIA, it's Spillman.
That's what she said.
You don't have to sign anything, but like I said before, it's entered into a contract. I've always been trying to come before you guys, so. It is in my budget.
Move to accept.
Second.
I'll move in second to accept the proposal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The second thing that I have in front of you are 2 sheets from ERS. The first one is in the amount of $868.60. This is to purchase 2 Motorola portables. I currently got 3 portables in our department and 3 800s, and this is going to be for 2 VHFs. We use these in case our radios would ever go down or anything like that. Beginning of the year, I wanted to get 2 more this year, so sat down with ERS. They gave me the quote on that. It is the government pricing. So I just need your blessing to purchase that one. There is money in my budget for that one.
That's a pretty good price for a 32 channel Motorola.
$430. Yeah.
That's a good price.
Yeah, she gave me the quote on the other one that was but was the VHF and 800, but I didn't have to bring that one.
And you say you do have money?
Yes.
In your budget. Move to accept.
Second.
Been moved and second, we accept the ERS contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The next ERS sheet that we have is for a VHF control station. Basically, what we are in the process of doing is moving our EMS frequency onto the EMA frequency to get them away from the CPD channel, to break those up. In doing that, I need to do some modifications to my radio console in the dispatch center. This is not an itemized bill. They did not have time to get that to me. However, this is it will not exceed amount of, and that amount proposed is $1,699.47. Basically, I've got to get the channel to where I can talk to it. It's a second sheet of ERS.
I'm sorry, what was your money amount?
It was the $1,699. It should have been right with this one. It was
Yeah, it
with
is.
the other one.
It is.
Oh, it's underneath, okay, got it.
We are going to put them over to the EMA channel, probably temporary, and then EMS is going to try to get their own frequency. In doing that, I'll still need this stuff, so.
And you have the funds
Because I'm
for it.
basically adding another channel to my console.
You have the funds for it.
Yes.
Move to accept.
Second.
Been moved and second to accept the bid for $1699.47. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
The last thing that I have is with our Everbridge emergency notification system. I have two packets for you on this. Our first one, we are due to renew in April 30th. That amount is going to be $13,390, which is less than, because our first year was a certain amount, second year and third year it got cheaper. What we have found on the back end of it and sitting through it, we have a back end of it, which I don't know if Commissioner Zane is familiar with this, but where we can send messages to our emergency personnel. We build a data file of like our courthouse people, our firemen, our CPD, our EMA units, in case we need to send something to them. We have exceeded our members of it. I have a waiting list of people to be put on there until I can get this approved. To just add those 250 members is going to be $733.80. I was just going to go ahead and sign for the whole new renewal, so then we've got it done. I don't think the intent was to stop using the system. And that total would be the $13,399. I will say that in the past, Terry Cochran at the Health Department was able to get us a $5,000 grant. And Adrian has worked, and he has received a grant as well to cover this. I do want to make a note of it that this will be the third year that we are into it. The county has paid for 100% of this. The last 2 years was the $5,000 grant, and we used the funds coming from our wireless monies. So this will be the first year that that will be paid completely by a grant. So
Completely by a grant?
this time it will be because Adrian was able to get the one. Right.
So the $13,390 is the whole, is a grant then?
Yeah, and the $13,000 is renewing it for the next year and adding the additional members on it that I need.
And you're pretty well satisfied with this Everbridge?
Do what?
You're pretty well satisfied with the whole program?
I think that there's still some public awareness on how it works. I'm going to get with John Posey, maybe put a video together, put it on Channel 3, put it on our social media to explain to some people again how it works. But I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I think people are getting used to it now and understanding how it works. But we've used it for the blizzard. We've used it for the 2-hour delay. The school, I've been in contact with them, of course. They're going to try to put the link on their website. I mean, I've sent it to the schools. We went to the senior center, talked to them. I mean, we've done so much pub ed on it. But I think that we're going to try to put together a video to kind of do that. So, but we continually have new people signing up and all that. So.
But yeah, I'm pleased with it. And I find it funny that we're out of the members, but, and it's causing a little bit of chaos because we're so used to having it now. It's a way of it's in our system now. So us not having those members, it's like, oh, so. But, yeah, very pleased with it.
Okay.
There's been other counties that's actually went with this vendor as well, since we have, Oregon and, Bartholomew County.
It seems to me
So,
great.
yeah, it's, yeah. So I do want to thank Adrian for coming up with that lump sum of money for that grant on that, and also Terry for that, so.
So
I haven't,
when people come to you and say they want to be put on the list, you can't just put them on the list, they actually
No.
cost you to put them on the list.
no, it doesn't cost the citizen anything.
Okay.
Basically, what this is our emergency notification. It will be paid for out of these grants.
Right.
It's free for everyone.
Okay.
But there was a back end of it, and I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and explain it. There's a back end of
Great.
it for the emergency services, and when we originally did it, we only had X amount, and now that we've gotten into it and we've used it, we've realized we need more.
Okay.
So that's why I'm needing the additional. And I
It's
think an
additional
additional
to notify
250
certain
people
groups of
should
people, is what
set
you're
us
saying.
pretty good for a while. Do what?
It's additional to, you want to set up different groups of people that you
Yes,
notify.
yeah, we have the highway department, the street department, I mean, we've got utilities, I mean, we've got everybody on there, so. Because in case of a disaster, I mean, we need it, so. Continually updating it and stuff like that.
I think it's one of those things come down to fight it. And being the end, you have a grant, seems like a no-brainer to me.
Right. I'll make a motion to accept it. I'll second.
Been moved and second to approve the Everbridge contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I did, Fayette County 911's going to be hosting some classes too, so then I can get some free training for some dispatchers. It's a required training that we have. If I host it and I get so many seats, then I get some free. So we're doing that in April. And I do have the annual report ready for council tonight. I had copies on my desk for you guys this morning. I walked out for them, so I'll just put them in your box. And if you have any questions, get in contact with me. It's pretty straightforward, so.
Do you have a single signature sheet, or we decide the ones we
I
can
can
give?
sign it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to
Okay.
have the commissioners. It just,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Can I add one thing?
I'm sorry.
This is a National Earthquake Awareness Day, and I shot an email out with an attachment to all departments. I'll be working with healthcare facilities. It's just to get people to understand the techniques and the actions caused by an earthquake. We're in a New Madrid fault zone and we're vulnerable. We've had small earthquakes constantly over the last 10 years, but this is a federal National Awareness Day for that. And I think I put the flyers in your packet.
Yeah.
And we'll be going to the courthouse, as I said. I'll be going to healthcare facilities today and other places to get that point across.
Okay.
Shake it.
Gee.
What time are you normally at the 911?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah, I mean, I usually try to leave about 2.
I miss you
because
every time
I
then.
usually come in at 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 6 right now. I usually leave at 2, so.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Same hour as I
You need 8 hours. You're more of a second shifter.
Okay. Is that it, Adrian, you have anything else?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Vicky Beatty, office shop.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, Mel, that works with me, the office shop, we decided that we thought, well, we have new commissioners. We should probably come and talk to them and share with them what we do and who we are. Fine. You can't hear me? No one's ever said that, Mark.
I haven't been able to hear, I haven't been able to hear anybody hardly.
Don't tell my husband did. Okay, can we speak louder?
Yeah, you would, please.
All right. Most of you know me. Vicki Beatty, lived here all my life, raised my family here, and worked for the office shop. We cover 22 counties, part of northern Kentucky. And we have copiers and printers and machines, you name it, in all 22 counties. And I think since I've been with them over 7 years, the thing that I like about it is that we continue to put copiers and printers and folding machines and any kind of machine that you think about it back in the same company. So that tells me
that we are doing a good job there, or they wouldn't have us back. I cover 5 of those counties, and so it keeps me kind of hopping. It is owned by a local person, and he and his wife still work in the business daily, and we work with them. The main office is in Batesville, Indiana. We have a warehouse in Richmond and Columbus, and maybe looking at other places. We've been in business over 35 years, so I think that says a lot for an office supply company today to be in business over 35 years. What we offer our customers is, again, copiers, printers, any kind of machine that you would think of, furniture, chairs, desks, and everything that goes along with that. Anything you need to put your name on, imprintable items. So letterhead, envelopes, pencils, things like that. And we also sell office supplies. Now, if you ask my husband what I do, he will tell you she sells paper clips. So we even have paper clips, but all kinds of office supplies. What we thought we would do today is just come and share with you what our services that we do, in case things that you'll be looking at over the future years, and also what we already do for the county. And we have a maintenance agreement with, I think most of all the copiers that's in the county, and Mel will talk to you more about that. Mel is what I call our copier guru. He's been with the business over 35 years, and he knows all about copiers inside and out. And I'm just the front person and get all the questions, and then I give everything to him. And what we try to do is find out what that customer needs, because there's all kinds of printers and copiers machines out there. We don't want to sell you something that's up here that you don't need, or we don't want to sell you something that's down here that, well, this doesn't suit my needs, because that's not what we're all about. We really want you to be happy with what you buy, but we want it to be a machine that's functional, that does what you need it to do. But most of all, I think the machines that we offer are cost effective. They save you money over the years. And with today's budgets that we've heard so much about today, that's very important. The cost of operation is very, very important when you buy it, when you purchase a machine today. So those are things that we look at. I'll let Mel do the rest because he knows all this stuff. And one thing I like about working with Mel is that he's like me, he talks a lot, but the most important thing is he knows his business, he knows his machines, but he's honest. And if he tells you something, you can take it to the bank. And so as a front person that I am, that's nice to work behind. So Mel, it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm going to just give you a little overview. You can read it at your leisure. I know you have a lot of other things to read today. Thank you. But and I will be quick. Our service department, we have 5 technicians, and they have a total of 94 years of experience. So we're pretty proud of that. We have very little turnover. As Vicki said, I've been with the office shop 35 years. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I'm here. I live in Oldenburg. I have a lot of emotion to this town because my father retired from Vistion, and 32 years he worked there, Ford and Vistion, so a lot of memories of coming to town in various situations. But back to the company, we're not on commission. I've been on salary since 1984 with the company, and so our goal is to look at the whole picture. And I see a lot of people, they'll look at a laser printer, for example, and they say, well, here's one for $200. That's great. That's cheaper than the one that's $400 or $600. But we pride ourselves in saying, let's look at what you're doing, how many prints you're making, same way with copiers. So we go to, I subscribe to Buyers Lab. I pay quite a hefty fee every year for that. And so we compare models, and we feel like we're giving you the best choice. And I ask a lot of questions, and people go, well, you're so detailed. I'd rather do that than not be prepared. So I'd say we have, I don't know if we have all the copiers in this county, but we have the majority for sure. And we're real proud of that. So if anybody has any questions.
The one thing I noticed, and I had talked to Mary Hires about it, just some of the copiers in the building, they go from one floor to the next, and the copier upstairs is completely different from the one downstairs.
Yes.
They got to learn how to run it all over again. And it's like, some of them are old and outdated. It's like, you should be able to go to one office and have exactly the same thing, to where it's nothing new, but,
Yes.
you know, then you get into costs, so.
Yeah, when we took that over several years ago, yes, there are a lot of copiers in the building from different brands, and we even service them. Today with CopyStar, which is Kyocera, that is our main brand. When you look at, and so many things today are prints rather than just copies, all the print drivers are identical, whether it's a $300 printer or a $20,000 80 copy a minute machine. The print driver, when you print, is identical. So, good point, and yes, that's true. Keyboards are, there's really two main keyboards, and one's just smaller but it's the same logic. It's the same wording. Anytime we get into our more robust models, those keyboards are all the same, from say 30 a minute up to 80 a minute. So, yes, and they do kind of standardize on that.
And some of our copiers are worn out already.
You do have some, yes. Yes. And we'll be glad to approach them one at a time. Can do a survey. You have a mix. You have a variety. Some are not too old, some are, it's time. And as copiers get older, their operating costs go up. So at some point, it does get less expensive to replace, even taking into account the cost of the replacement.
But is it cheaper to lease than to buy?
There's quite a, I could spend a lot of time on leasing, but I think of leasing in two ways. There's fair market value leases, which at the end you don't own it, and there's dollar buyout. I usually suggest dollar buyout to non-profits or companies that aren't paying taxes, that don't lease for profit reasons. In other words, a business will do fair market value because they never own the equipment, and they are writing each lease payment off as electric bill. It's just a direct write-off each month. They don't plan on earning it. They are owning it, excuse me. In an office like yours, we find, and churches kind of go along with you, the average copier is replaced every 4.5 years in the United States. We have copiers out there 10 years old, easily. So if you do want to lease because of cash flow reasons, I would suggest dollar buyout because you're in control. When you make the last payment, whatever term that lease is for, it's yours. Done. You don't have those silly lease end fees and things like I heard you talk about the $1,000 from that other company at the beginning, and I kind of think too,
yeah.
Like you're saying. When you're dealing with lease companies, there are surprises, and I can't say they're surprises, they're in fine print, as you know. And so we're proud that we deal with a lease company, Great American Leasing, and it's all one side. The whole paper, the whole lease is one page, one side, and not very small print. So that's a long answer to what you're saying, but cash, if you have the money, don't lease. If you want to lease for cash flow reasons, I say because you're nonprofit, do the dollar buyout because you're in charge at the end. You can keep it longer, you can throw it in the river if you want. It's yours. Where I have a quick example. I have a real estate company. Their copier was up from the lease. They called me. They wanted to see a new copier. We were unloading the demo, and the guy runs out. He goes, "Wait a minute." He said, "I read my lease, and now since I didn't notify him in time, I got to keep it for another year," and he's real disappointed. So you got to watch those things.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
If somebody has a blue Honda parked out on the west side, you might want to, your lights is on.
Blue Honda, anyone?
I'm sorry.
Blue Honda.
Blue Honda on the west side.
I didn't see anybody jump up and leave.
No. Mary Hires.
Morning. There's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about. First off is the bank fees. We've got them and we don't seem to be able to get rid of them this year. I was hoping that we could move some money around, but I don't want to lose the interest we're receiving right now to cover those bank fees. So eventually I think we can phase them out, but my question is, do we want to maybe take them out of contract services at this point out of your budget, or go for an additional to put them either in my budget or your budget, it doesn't matter. bank fees aren't gonna go away for a while. I'm
Do all the
pretty sure
banks in
that.
town have bank fees?
Every
Mary?
one of them.
Every one of them?
I have checked when we were changing the accounts, I had estimates on all of them. All of them are gonna charge a fee. What's gonna help us is once we get the new system in with Lau for our ledger portion and payroll, we're gonna try to go to direct deposit if it's okay, and that will help with the fees. That could cut our fees in about 50%. So that'll be a step ahead. And if I can keep enough in the account, we can offset most of the fees. So I'm thinking that once we get these initial fees paid, I'm hoping we can back off on the amount of fees we're going to owe later on this year. Also, the fees are just, you know, we can carry so much money in there and that's it. And we're having them look at, right now I'm having them look at the accounts that we have there that include our checking account and a couple other accounts. They're going to check in, and she's checking to make sure that all the accounts are current, what we need. I'm going to close a couple accounts. Those fees should be dropping off, so we should be losing those amounts of fees. So that'll help.
You're saying your fees are based on how much is in your accounts?
Our fees are based on the use of our accounts.
Okay.
The number of checks we have go through there, the number of deposits we have go through there.
Doesn't have any bearing on the balance.
Well, it does have a bearing on the balance only because if you carry a certain balance, it also draws a little bit of interest. And if you carry a certain balance, that interest will offset the fees that they charge. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at right now. Right now we're having, my bank reps are looking into all of our accounts that they are at that bank to make sure that the fees that they have charged this year from June of last year and December of last year are correct. Because I thought that there's a couple of accounts that shouldn't have a lot of fees on them. So they're checking on that. We'll get with that. But
Are we deposited in one bank or we spread out?
we have several banks that we keep money in. Now, it's not just one bank. We can't do with just one bank.
So the banks don't compete for, they're probably all about
They don't
the same.
have to compete.
Right.
They got all the
Bank
money.
fees
They don't care.
The bank fees drive me nuts, but they know they can get away with it, so.
They really don't have to compete.
Right.
They just state what you're going to have to pay, and that's it.
Right.
I mean, you know. Another thing is our copier. It's been referred to as a dinosaur now, and I did talk to Vicki at Office Shop because that's where it came from, and it was bought prior to 2004. I don't know how far prior to 2004, but it was making some strange noises. Now it's making a lot stranger noises, and so I know it's going to have to be replaced. It doesn't have to be anything major. We don't need any, you know, we don't need anything that sorts and does all the staples and all that stuff. We just need something that's in the office that we can copy. Vicki gave us a quote on one that was like $399, and I think it would be sufficient for our office. But all the new copiers also include fax machines and printers, and you just can't find just a copier anymore. They all add all that stuff, which would be okay for our office because we could put it into the system where that way if we needed to run a copy and fax it to someone or even email it to someone, because then we could send it through there. So it looks like a nice little machine. It's a Brother. I assume that's a good brand. I've heard that brand before. But what I don't know is should we go ahead and order one, or can maybe you guys want to get a better deal, because I know like in the auditor's office I went over there to make a copy the other day and their machine isn't working real well either.
Well, we have went to trying to get 3 quotes on anything we buy.
Yeah.
You know, we'd like to
well,
do that.
I have another company that, ProSource, and they were supposed to get me a quote by today. They didn't quite get it here. Most of their machines were more like $1,000 or something like that. You know, this one's far below the amount that has to, you know, for asset things. I think, you know, it was like, what, $750 or something that you had to have a price on. But I'm, you know, we can wait for a little while. It's starting to get worse. It makes a lovely noise now, but it's still copying, so as long as it still copies, we're okay. But if, you know, if you're looking at a deal that where you can, you know, buy maybe 2 or 3 copiers, I mean, there's other offices that need them. You know, I'm fine with that, where, you know, you can do that. But I just, you know, I just want to heads up to.
But you're going to need one.
We're going to have one. You know, it's okay if we run across the hall for a quick copy as long as the 2 of us are there. But if you've got a customer and you're the only one there, and you have to run a copy, you can't leave the office and go over there and run one. So it's kind of inconvenient for that. So, but just a heads up on the copier, we are going to need it.
Mary, why don't you just go ahead and give us 3 quotes, okay? Give us an additional one at least, if you can. And then,
well, I checked with Staples and I checked with Quill online. I can print out what they had for something comparable to this. It was basically the same cost.
Okay. But if you would, come back next meeting.
Okay. And now the other thing is a little touchy. I would like if you could get our security buttons checked in our office.
We will. In fact, I didn't know where they do that on a regular.
Well, I think one of ours maybe is not working correctly.
We'll get that
and
done.
So I would like to see that
we'll get that
updated. And that's pretty much all I have. But if you can make a decision on the bank fees, I'm checking with them right now to make sure exactly what we owe them, whether you want to try to take them out of your contract budget at this point in time, or whether you want me to go ahead and present an additional to the council for those.
Well, Ben, where do you think the money come out of?
Yeah, maybe contracts, it kind of.
Well, you know, I just didn't know whether you want to try to incur the cost now, and maybe down the line, maybe not have to do an additional. I'd rather see where you wouldn't have to do an additional to pay these fees.
How much are we talking about?
Well, right now, we're talking about almost $3,000, but that was.
What length of time?
For a month?
That was for the full year last year.
Okay.
How long is that total? How long is that?
What time period do those?
They do it on a 6-month. What they did, but I did not pay last June or December simply because they kept telling me they wanted to check the accounts and make sure everything was correct. And they did find a couple mistakes. They were billing us all totally for all of the checking accounts, which included the clerk's account and that type thing. So they got that straightened up. So right now, Melissa Matney is looking into the cost on and making sure that all those accounts are. And she's going to check and see what the fees, how much lower the fees would be once we start with the electronic deposit. And I want to check on, we've got a couple of accounts, our credit card account and stuff that goes through the bank. And I want to check on if there's a fee, if we're being charged now for that account.
Oh, I thought that was the deal with it. We wouldn't be charged
I
a fee
thought
like
so
the Fifth
too,
Third one.
but I think they've got that included in with all the rest of the accounts.
So can we get all this straightened up by the next meeting or whatever?
Oh, I can only hope.
Well, I mean, the thing is just the bank fees. If we don't have the money to do other stuff, we've really got to figure out a way to make sure. I don't know. I don't know how to get around it because you say the banks are going to charge you no matter what.
Right now, we need to carry an average of a certain amount in that checking account. Right now, our funds are a little tied up in another savings account, which we're making more interest on. That's going to end this year.
Her question is
So-
where we want to pay it out of. I mean, we don't have
Yeah.
any choice, it's just where we're going to pay it out of.
Do
And
you
that's pretty much
have-
where Debbie thinks we can get it the easiest.
So are they talking, I mean, are they going to deduct it from your account, so we need to write a check to put into the county's
We're going to
account?
write a
Or what are they
check.
talking?
We have a statement, and we will send a payment to
I
the
would
bank.
rather do it that way, tied to that.
Yeah. We have a statement, and we will send a payment to the bank.
But even though paying it, at some point, we really got to look into this. I mean, I know you've looked
Well-
at it, but there's got to be, I mean, it's just something.
Well,
something
Melinda
somewhere.
put $5,000 in a line item in her budget this year to pay for fees for her trust account. So she was in the same situation.
Every bank is
It's just
doing
going to have
it.
to go with the budget next year. But
I
right
mean,
now,
it's
she's
just a
gotta-
fact of doing business, I believe.
Yeah, right now she's got to figure out where you're going to pay it from.
So it's like per check, it's so much per check
It's
written
it's
and
so much per check, it's so much on the account.
Do we pay extra
It's
for
like
that
a-
positive pay?
It's like a 10, 12-page statement that they send that tells you all the fees. I mean, they have fees for every, for being able to receive ARC payments, which is EFTs from other places. They have fees because your account's open for that. They have fees for everything.
So does your
Everything.
office have one bank and one bank only?
No.
Or you use other different?
And I'm asking you to educate.
There's one checking
But
account
there's no
for
checking account in the
payroll
other
and
banks.
accounts payable.
And that's what this
Can you
is.
get a better rate by going with a single bank and putting everything in there?
And it's just not wise to tie up all your money in
Can we
one
just put the
bank.
money in a safe? I don't know.
We've got a big mattress, we can stuff
Yeah.
it in there. It's just it's really just a sign of the times, and they're just not.
Interest
They
rates
used
are
to
down, they
really-
wanna make their money somewhere. Yes.
Yeah, I can
Well,
remember
we
when
don't have a
you,
choice right in a minute where we pay it. We can work on getting rid of it or whatever we want to do, but right now she's got to be able to pay. Right. So.
now, I have moved some money around so that we have a better balance in there, and hopefully it'll offset fees coming up. Because what they do is they take, I talked them into taking the, like 6 months at a time and averaging the account so that, you know, we're not looking at, okay, you've only got so many dollars in here that you're gonna pay a lot of fees on this, but in May, you got a whole bunch of money in there, but you're gaining, your interest is better then, so you're not paying fees. So I talked them into taking the 6 month and averaging it out, but still, we can run a little bit short. So hopefully, we'll get things evened out.
So you think it'd be best to take money out of contractor services?
Probably.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't know one way or another. So that's what we do.
Okay, that'd be fine. And I'll get with the bank and make sure that the correct amount, so they bill me for the right
Need a
amount.
motion on that part.
Well, let's do it, then we'll have it.
I'll make a motion to take that out of contractual services.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's where we'll take it from there.
And let me know about copier situation.
Well,
I'll get some more quotes and see some
I'd like
prices,
to get
but
some quotes. And this might be a good time to bring this up. I've been thinking that it would be a good idea for us to make up a vendor list. We want to try and promote the people in Fayette County if we can.
I agree.
And to make up a form, anybody could sign, this is who I am, this is where I am, how you get hold of them, and this is a service I'd like to provide. And then when you need a copy or she needs something, we look at that list, and anybody that wants to provide us services for what we need, that we'll contact them. I think we owe that to the people of
that's
Fayette
great.
County.
You know, I would love to keep things locally if possible, but, you know, just a lot of times it's not available.
But it's just would give the people in the county a chance to know if they are being considered.
We only have one local bank, truly local bank.
Exactly, and they really, the only local bank really doesn't want to burden themselves a lot with county money. So, I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, banks are competing for everybody's business every day. I mean.
But that's the problem now. They're not competing for your business now. They've got your business. They're not competing anymore. I had one banker told me that they didn't need our money. They had plenty of money in reserve.
Well, we can find another bank then.
So,
Well, it would cost them more to have our money than it would be because they can't make it in interest, so it's
Yeah,
just not
exactly.
profitable for them to do it.
okay.
Mary, it's come to my attention, we are required to have a Board of Finance meeting every year. It should have been in January. Could we, I was thinking it won't take long to do it. If we could just do it next month before our.
I will try to get everything together. We are working right now with CompuTrol because our funds are not right. And
that meeting's at 8:30, so we'll just set that Board of Finance meeting for 8 o'clock
on
whatever the day is, third Tuesday of the month.
Should be 19.
this month.
This month, yes, this month. So it's supposed to have been done in January. Okay.
You want it at 8 o'clock?
Well, that's, right, we about have to set, I think we don't know what time the other meeting will be over. I mean, if you don't, unless we,
8:30 drainage board.
8:30 is drainage board meeting, so if we have it at 8, we'll have it at 8:30 for the
Well,
meeting. Okay.
let's see, just a minute. Let me, today is, okay, that should.
Okay. Then what you said, just come a half hour later, have a required meeting.
Yes, sir.
What's the date?
Right.
19th, that's, it's same day as our next meeting.
Okay.
That was the
Half
date.
hour early, all right.
Yeah. That's required.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary. Debbie, you want to talk to us about your, we
We
pretty
already
much
talked
went over
that,
that.
and AJ's going to give him a call. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had that separate on the agenda. I stuck it in.
Right. AJ's going to take care of that first. Cemetery Commission, Doug Keller.
Thank you all. We had handed out some forms that we had inspection reports to Commissioner. I had given you one, and Dave Nichols had given you one. We'd like to do this periodically to just let you know what we've been up to. So we'll do that every so often. On the one I had, this is what I had inspected from the time I was appointed in August up to February 1st. And then Dave has went out and inspected some. So there'll be some, the same ones on there. What we've done, just with the three of us, and we went through our townships, and we're going to split those up. Dave and his wife will be over the cemeteries up in basically the northwestern part of the county, if she is appointed. Lenny will be over, and the next appointee will be over the ones in the southwest part, kind of around Everton. And then I will take the eastern part, Waterloo, Jennings, part of Harrison and Connorsville. And of course, a lot of these don't have a lot of pioneer cemeteries, so it's going to work out. Basically, what we would be doing is just overseeing these, make sure the condition that they're in, work together to come up with a plan of attack on which ones need to be addressed first, and keep up on those during the year, not just let them go. So that's kind of the process. One thing we need to do before planting starts, we have approximately 6 or 8 that are in the middle fields that will be planted. Some of the farmers have said that we can actually knock down a row of crops to get to them if we need to. Don't want to do that, but we need to get those at least knocked down. If you see some of those, like Old Parrot, which I talked to Barton about, and Russell, which is out on 44, Old Waters, which is out again around Everton. Some of those, they're heavily overgrown, been let go for so long. They need taken care of, at least knocked down before planting starts. So we're going to work on that. We've got a lot of goals, and once we have all 5 members appointed.
How are you handling it? Look, find people that's interested in being
Yeah,
on
we've
that?
got a couple, and I know you requested, and we've talked about it, like to submit Cindy Nichols and Corinne Westerfield as the other 2 members. I think they'll work well. What we're trying to do is get a diverse group. Dave has a lot of experience with, contracting with, companies and his work with the Corps of Engineers. So he knows what it takes to get these cemeteries mowed, clean, what equipment we might need. So, once you appoint the other 2, and we're officially a board, then, we're going to set our first meeting and then get a plan. We want to make sure we know what direction we're going.
Can we do that today?
I assume so. It's up to you. Just we need to get those other 2 members appointed. So.
And the other thing is that you mentioned about taking down crops. I mean, I don't know about the other 2 commissioners, but I would be more inclined to let the farmer do it.
Yeah, that's what he. Yeah. When they mentioned that to me, I said, well, we would rather you clear the path for us. Right. We don't want to go tearing something up and be liable for that.
The plan is really to get in and get that taken care of before the planning's done.
Yeah, if we can get in there before they plant those and get it knocked down, and if you look at Old Parrot or Russell, some of the others, if we can get in there and just get it knocked down, we can carry a weed eater back down the road and, check that periodically and make sure it doesn't. We just don't want to let go till the crops are, harvested, and then we're back to square one.
3 things, Doug.
Yes.
Number 1, don't forget your spring and your fall cleanups. You can use community corrections people.
Yes.
Number 2, a suggestion that before you start any work on any of the cemeteries, just perhaps as a PR thing or as a reminder, you take either a photograph or a video of the before and after, okay? And number 3, I saw a question from Mr. Nichols here about signs. Does the county highway still, do they produce signs like they used to?
Yeah,
we
they have a
sign
sign man.
Yeah. I personally, and I don't know how you, I don't have any problems whatsoever with them, with the commission being able to use the county highway to make up signs at their convenience so they can, through their work schedule. That way you can get some halfway decent looking signs for each of the cemeteries if they don't already have one.
Yeah, some of them, I asked John Walters about this. I asked him because some of the ones that I had visited, one behind the county highway garage, there's one up on the hill up there encased in concrete. It's heavily overgrown with brush. Somebody's vandalized the sign. One cemetery that had been found, but I relocated it. It's in the woods up in Waterloo Township. I sent a picture, I think, to Debbie. I don't know if she sent it to you guys. They're just, the stones are laying up against trees. There's never been a sign. So I asked John about that, and he said that I think he had made those signs up when he was part of the department at, using scrap metal from the highway department, and then, black letters. And most of the signs that are out there are in fairly good shape. Cemeteries aren't, the signs are. So But yeah, I'd like to talk to Michelle, once she gets back. And, once we get our board established and we have our meeting, get a plan on what we want to do. And then some of these cemeteries, it's not going to take a big group of people. Some of them, just one or two people. We can go in there and do the work. Because some of them are just, 1, 2, 3, 4 stones. You get into the bigger cemeteries and, you have 130 stones or whatever it may be. So that's, we just want to do that. We want to get started on the right foot. Some of the things that Debbie had given me an application that had been started by the commissioners, I guess, last year for the historic sign initiative.
Heritage sign initiative.
Yeah, heritage sign. And so she had given me an application, so I redid that and submitted it to the DNR. We're trying to get a heritage sign put up in Nulltown, and it's a really nice looking blue sign. So I submitted that application, and hopefully that'll be approved, and then they will invoice the county, and I'm not sure exactly what the price was on that.
It's $129, I think.
$129 or something. That there would be a cost in that. We can do that to all the cemeteries, but this would have been started for Nulltown. So, I sent a letter or an email to Jeannie up at DNR, and she's off this week. So I need to contact the other lady to find out where that stands. Also working on making sure all of our pioneer cemeteries are registered with the state. There's a cemetery registry. There's a cemetery west of IMI that sits out in the field. It's going to need some work done to it, but it's not on the registry. So, I've got an application in to just register that. Also put in a couple applications for probing permits for that. It's Reagan Cemetery and also Fiant, which was the one that's in the woods in Waterloo that I went to. By state, state law, we have to have a probing permit to go digging in a cemetery, to locate stones, to doing any underground digging up to 6 inches, I think it is. So, so you can go out there and do it, but we want to do it by the law. We don't want to we just want to do things right. So it doesn't take much to get the permit. They just want to know what we're doing, where we're doing it at. And so that's in the process. Also got a list about 8 cemeteries that have not been located yet. There's information out there that they may be there. So as time permits, we'll try to locate those. First thing we need to do is try to get these cemeteries in shape. But as time permits, maybe we can locate some of these lost cemeteries, that are out there somewhere. Like I said, once we get our board set, we'll have our first meeting. We'll set up a plan of attack, keep you guys informed on what's going on. I think we're getting a good group together to take care of these cemeteries. Of course, that also brings up the equipment issue. We're going to need some equipment to do what we do. So, I'll work with Dave because he knows a lot about what it takes.
You're talking about just doing the outlying cemeteries, the weed or such.
Yes, we want to do, I guess you're going to contract it close to the roads. I guess, that will continue. But, if we can just get back and take care of these back of the road, back of the woods, where you have to walk across fields or, we just want to take care of those,
I think we ought to go ahead and get our board filled up because it's going to be mowing time before long when you.
Yeah, once, then we'll set up a meeting, and post that.
If you want to give us those names again, and maybe we can go ahead and
one
them,
is
you can get your board started.
Cindy Nichols. And I think that's spelled Nichols. Yes, Cindy Nichols. And then Corinne Westerfield. I think it's Corrine, and then Westerfield.
Nobody has any objections. I'd entertain a motion that we appoint these people to the cemetery board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we appoint the names you've given us to the cemetery board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now you got a full board.
Also, I had turned in some forms to Debbie to give AJ, just kind of overlooked. One of them was I think a volunteer waiver form that we would have people that would volunteer to help us, just to, protect the county. DNR kind of suggests that you use these. I think another one was a landowner permission form. We don't have to use these if you don't want us to. It just, landowner gives us permission to enter the property, and usually they do, but we would just like to have it in writing.
I think it'd be nice to have it documented
Yeah.
if you was allowed in there.
And also, there's one there also that, to where we can let them know that, who's going to be basically there, who's going to be in charge. That way they feel comfortable, so.
I gave you a copy of that, didn't I, that we got from Wilson, Lawson and Myers?
I don't know if you did that or not.
Here, I'll give you that.
AJ, by
You
us
can
doing that,
get
having
some
them
other
sign a
copies.
contract,
Thank
waiver, I mean, that does protect.
If it's a good enough waiver and release, it will protect us. Yeah, so it's got to be a good enough waiver and release.
Yeah,
It's not just for volunteers, but the board members themselves.
Yeah, anybody that volunteers, we just want to protect the county from any liability. You never know what could happen out there.
How old was that form?
It was what was on the DNR site, so I'm not sure how old it is.
Do you want to review it or?
Pass it by
Is it-
AJ.
Was this the one that you gave?
I think so. John
Okay.
Walters had given me one from Switzerland County,
Okay.
and I just kind of retyped it with Fayette County.
Okay.
Just, it doesn't matter what form the county comes up with for us to use. That was just kind of some ideas. Or if we need to use them at all, I think it's a good idea.
Now, that form that I gave you, per our insurance agent, that provides workers' compensation that extends up to $25,000 coverage for medical expenses incurred as a result of performing assigned duties as a volunteer.
David, did you have a question?
Just, when I work for the government, they have like a 3-page form you have to sign for volunteers. It says they're not entitled to any, insurance or anything. Won't hold the government liable. We had a volunteer working for us, take care of the bluebird boxes. He slipped and fell, twisted his knee. He was out of work for like 4 weeks, and had surgery, therapy. And he went to a lawyer. The lawyer said, no, the form that you signed is good. But what they did, they turned around and turned his claim into workman's comp. And workman's comp granted this.
Which is what that does, up to $25,000.
Right, and so when we had to go through all the paperwork,
But we just have to have the names on
and had to pay our fee into, it's still cheaper than what his medical was.
Yeah.
But you're not totally
Yeah.
out of the woods.
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody's is covered and, as much as possible. And like I said, the landowner form is just more of a courtesy thing to them, but I think a lot of them would like that, so. But that's what we hope to do, now that we'll set a meeting up and get the ball rolling.
Okay,
I
that'd
think
be
we'll
great.
let you guys know what we plan to do, and like I said, we'll need to get some, probably some, weed eaters or something. Dave's more in line of what we would actually need to, some of these cemeteries, back of the road, if you see those, and I've taken pictures of most of the ones I went to, and the grass has been so high, the brush, that it's laid over, and so it's more than just, it's gonna take a lot of work to get those down to where you can actually see some of the stones that are flat, so.
There's 5,000 there, repair equipment.
It's,
transfer.
there's a lot of work to be done, but we can do it. It's, we're kind of starting all over again, but we're gonna get the work done. It's gonna take a while, but we got a good group, I think, that we're getting together. But that's all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work. Patrons' concerns? Jerry?
I've got a change order I'd like to bring before you on Bridge 82. I got it too late to get on the agenda, so I just brought it up. This is on Bridge 82, and it's a chemical modifier adjustment. What it boils down to, they took soils test on the subsoil when they built the roads out there, and the original specs was for a lime kiln dust to be put in that, and they changed that to a type 1 cement, and the amount of money that it takes for that change order is $10,625.67, which we only paid 20% of. Okay, so that's what it is.
How much was it? 10,000 what?
$10,625.67. And this has all been approved by the district construction engineer out of Greenfield. So I'm more or less just a gopher.
Yeah, so we don't
Get you
have
guys
any
to
choice
sign
in
it.
it, but
Huh?
we don't have any choice.
No, we don't have any choice in it.
So we need a motion, we need a motion to approve
Yes,
this.
need a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the change order.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the change order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
This is on Bridge 82 there. Was that?
Right.
It's one on Gooch Creek, right there, that's Kyle Klein.
Is that all you got, Jerry?
Yes, that's all I've got. I just need some signatures.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? If not, we need approval of the claims and payroll.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Approve the claims and the payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. 11 o'clock.